Welcome back to Beyond the Cage, everyone. I'm Gabe Benchamal. Since it is the end of the year, I decided to get dressed for the first ever Beyond the Cage MMA Awards. I have 11 award winners here for 11 different categories, so let's hand out some hardware. But before we hand out some awards, if you do enjoy this video, please leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who might be interested. Also hit that notification bell so that you never miss a Beyond the Cage episode. Now, some of the categories here, like Knockout of the Year or Fighter of the Year, are staples, but I decided to add some of my own because it's my award show, so I could do whatever I want. So for each category, there's 4 nominees with exception to one of them, and you'll see why later. Without further ado, let's give out some hardware. The first award is the Rookie of the Year award. This award goes to the best debuting fighter of the year, not the fighter who had the best debut. That's why it's called the Rookie of the Year, kind of like how it is in the NHL, NFL, and NBA. And the nominees are Ikram Aliskerov, Cedric Doumbé, Bo Nickal, and Diego Lopez. And the winner for the Beyond the Cage 2023 Rookie of the Year award is Diego Lopez. In all honesty, this award was probably one of the hardest to pick. Each and any one of those MMA fighters had an amazing rookie campaign, and if you chose one of them for Rookie of the Year, it would be hard to dispute it. I chose Diego Lopez because he looked the most impressive out of everyone. His last-minute replacement fight versus Movsar Evloev was epic. Diego had Movsar in an armbar and nearly won the fight in less than 5 days' notice. Now, he did lose that fight, but he made it up with 2 back-to-back first-round finishes of Gavin Tucker and Pat Sabatini. Plus, he's already knocking on the door of a UFC ranking, so I think he deserves it. If you would say Ikram Aliskerov is the Rookie of the Year, I would have no problem with that at all. Super polished prospect that was supposed to fight Paulo Costa in his second UFC fight. If the UFC were comfortable with putting him in a fight with Costa, I think they know how good he is already. Third in this ranking would have been Bo Nickal. Bo has looked spectacular in his first 5 MMA fights. However, the quality of opponents hasn't been as good compared to Diego and Ikram, so I can't really give him this award. But I had to include Cedric Doumbé on this list because he had the greatest MMA debut of all time. Yes, of all time, because he walked out with a mattress with his opponent's name written on it and an entire French crowd cheering him on. Then he proceeds to knock out his opponent cold in under 10 seconds. Debut of the year, but not Rookie of the Year because he only fought once. Next is Submission of the Year. You could either go 2 ways with this, variety or significance. Luckily, I've chosen 2 from each, so let's take a look at the nominees. Damon Blackshear submitting Jose Johnson with a twister, John Jones submitting Cyril Gane with a guillotine, Davy Grant submitting Rafael Assunção with an inverted triangle choke, and Alexa Grasso submitting Valentina Shevchenko with a rear naked choke. And the winner is John Jones's guillotine submission of Cyril Gane. Leading up to UFC 285, every MMA fan but John Jones was concerned with the ring rust and him moving up to heavyweight. But to silence all the doubt in less than half the round of the fight was just magical. That submission allowed him to become the UFC heavyweight champion of the world. Alexa Grasso's choke on Valentina Shevchenko was amazing as she actually practiced this in the locker room right before the fight. But Jones's submission was just historical. Shout out to Damon Blackshear and Davy Grant for putting up amazing submissions. They're definitely super rare, and if John Jones hadn't fought this year, I think I might have picked one of them. Next award we have to give out is the Most Improved Fighter. This is for fighters that have been in the UFC for a little while now and have really pulled it together to show vast improvements to produce consecutive wins this year. And these are the nominees for the Most Improved Fighter of 2023. Brendan Allen, Benoit Saint-Denis, Khalil Rountree, and Song Yadong. And Beyond the Cage's winner for the Most Improved Fighter of 2023 is Brendan Allen. Very tough winner to decide here between these 4 candidates. All these guys jumped in the rankings pretty significantly, but Brendan Allen fought 3 times in 2 main events and produced 3 victories with 3 finishes, all of whom are rear naked choke finishes that were over Andre Muniz, Bruno Silva, and Paul Craig. I could see Brendan Allen having a massive 2024 where he puts himself into title contention. Now for the other nominees, they all had a great 2023 with high profile victories, especially Benoit Saint-Denis. The dude is a literal wrecking ball. I was considering giving this award to him, but he's only been in the UFC for 2.5 years. It's kind of natural, like a prospect as good as Benoit Saint-Denis would improve quickly. Allen has been here since 2019 and he's finally started to really put it together, so I decided to give it to him. But all these guys could put themselves into really big main events coming 2024. The next award we have is Event of the Year, and the nominees are UFC 285 Jones vs. Gane, UFC 287 Pereira vs. Adesanya 2, UFC 290 Volkanovski vs. Rodriguez, and UFC 291 Poirier vs. Gaethje 2. And Beyond the Cage's winner for MMA event of 2023 UFC 285 Jones vs. Gane. I think this one was pretty easy to call. Highest selling pay-per-view of the year with Jon Jones finally cracking 1 million pay-per-views. 2 great title fights that absolutely delivered. Huge surprises in the main and co-main event. And a loaded main and undercard that certainly delivered. UFC 290 came pretty close, but I remember UFC 285 being so much more memorable. The next award we have is Upset of the Year. This one I think is pretty straightforward and everyone knows what it is. And the nominees are Dricus du Plessis upsetting Robert Whittaker, Alexa Grasso upsetting Valentina Shevchenko, Bobby Green upsetting Grant Dawson, and Sean Strickland upsetting Israel Adesanya. And Beyond the Cage's winner for MMA Upset of the Year is Sean Strickland upsetting Israel Adesanya. I think we all knew this one was coming. Sean outclassed Izzy for all 5 rounds of their fight. Adesanya just had zero response for what Strickland was doing. It will go down as one of the greatest upsets of all time for sure. Now the next piece of hardware that we're going to give out is for MMA Comeback of the Year. These are the fighters that look down and out towards the end of 2022, but now look incredible coming into 2024. And the nominees for the Comeback Fighter of the Year are Justin Gaethje, Jon Jones, Tom Aspinall, and Tatiana Suarez. And Beyond the Cage's winner for 2023 Comeback Fighter of the Year is Jon Jones. Not much to say that I haven't said earlier. 3-year layoff to become a 2-division champion. It doesn't get much sweeter than that. But Justin Gaethje really made me consider giving it to him. After taking on Charles Oliveira, he looked like he might never get a title shot ever again. But he had 2 incredible wins over Rafael Fiziev and Dustin Poirier. Now he's back into title contention, which is just crazy to think. Tom Aspinall was definitely in contention for this award as well. He tore his ACL in the Curtis Blades fight, and we didn't know what his status was going to be coming into 2023. Especially considering that taller and heavier people have issues recovering from leg injuries. But he silenced all the doubters by knocking out Marcin Tybura and Sergey Pavlovich to become the interim heavyweight champion of the world. But I think Tatiana Suarez deserves a massive shout out. She battled so many injuries to get back into fighting in 2023. The next award that we're going to give out is Superstar of the Year. This one I kind of created because I thought it would be a fun award to give out. It's for the fighter that gained the most popularity in 2023. And the nominees for Superstar of the Year in 2023 are Sean O'Malley, Alex Pereira, Sean Strickland, and Alexander Volkanovski. And Beyond the Cage's winner for MMA Superstar of the Year is Sean Strickland. Sean genuinely broke out into a legit star this year. People love him because he's just authentically him. If you're someone that's able to take a joke, you could scroll through his Twitter and laugh for hours. He's become one of my favorite fighters to watch because whatever he does is just pure entertainment. When Sean Strickland goes on a rant about something, he manages to find a way to make it hilarious for everyone listening. I was considering giving it to Alex Pereira because of all the memes, but how can I not give it to Sean? Now we're on to the big awards, Fight of the Year. Lots of choices here, but here are the nominees for Fight of the Year. UFC 284 Islam Makhachev vs. Alexander Volkanovski 1. UFC 285 Jeff Neal vs. Shafkat Rakhmonov. UFC 290 Dan Hooker vs. Jalen Turner. And UFC 290 Brandon Moreno vs. Alexandre Pantoja 3. And Beyond the Cage's MMA Fight of the Year award goes to Islam Makhachev vs. Alexander Volkanovski 1. Now, what can I say that hasn't been said about this fight? The highest level of MMA displayed in an entire fight that I've ever witnessed. 2 potential future GOATs of their own division. They come together for Alexander Volkanovski to claim a second belt. I have never been more focused and locked in during a fight. It's my favorite fight of all time personally, because going into that 5th round, I didn't know who was going to win the fight. To me, nothing has come close to that this year so far. Is that good enough reasoning for you guys?
That's good enough, right?
Now on to another large piece of hardware. We have Knockout of the Year. This is the category with 5 nominees because someone at the end of the year decided to make this a little bit more interesting. And if you watch UFC 296, you know exactly who I'm talking about. I couldn't leave him off the list, so here are the 5 nominees for Knockout of the Year. Israel Adesanya's knockout of Alex Pereira, Ismail Bonfim's knockout of Terrence McKinney, Josh Emmett's knockout of Bryce Mitchell, Justin Gaethje's knockout of Dustin Poirier, and Islam Makhachev's knockout of Alexander Volkanovski. And Beyond the Cage's winner for the MMA Knockout of the Year award goes to Israel Adesanya's knockout of Alex Pereira. So many good choices. Any of these are justifiable. I think from 2023, this is the one that people are going to remember the most. The story of the rivalry between Alex Pereira and Israel Adesanya is massive that it keeps going into 2024. This knockout was just so perfect for Adesanya. And I'm a massive Alex Pereira fan. From Adesanya finally beating Pereira, to the immediate bow and arrow celebration, to Izzy faking being dead in front of Pereira's kids, and to Israel's post-fight post-fight speech. It was all just super memorable. Islam's knockout of Volkanovski was filthy. He reminded people that he is truly levels above everyone in the UFC right now. Gaethje's head kick of Dustin Poirier was sensational, so I definitely had to put on the list. Bonfim's flying knee was also epic. I definitely wanted to pick that, but it's like, how can I not pick Adesanya? But Josh Emmett nearly made me consider that knockout of the year pick. He genuinely nearly murdered Bryce Mitchell. That was the closest I've seen to someone dying in the UFC. Bryce was literally seizing after he got knocked out. Honestly, 2023 was one of the best years for knockouts. I just think the Israel Adesanya knockout is going to be one that's going to be remembered for a long time, and that defines his legacy. The second to last award that we're going to give out is the Women's Fighter of the Year. The nominees for this award are Erin Blanchfield, Chris Cyborg, Alexa Grasso, and Zhang Weili. And Beyond the Cage's winner for Women's MMA Fighter of the Year is Alexa Grasso. She did the impossible and beat Valentina Shevchenko. Then she proved again that her victory wasn't a fluke. Yeah, her second fight ending up being a draw was pretty bad, I think we all can agree. But I think she was the woman that had the best year in MMA, so I'm gonna give it to her. And the final award we have is obviously Male MMA Fighter of the Year. For me, it was a tough year because there wasn't a clear-cut candidate, but here are the nominees: Tom Aspinall, Alex Pereira, Islam Makhachev, and Sean Strickland. And Beyond the Cage's winner for Male Fighter of the Year is Sean Strickland. The Islam fans are going to be pretty mad that I picked Sean Strickland, but I'll explain why. He's the only current champion to have 3 wins in 2023. Yes, only one of them was for a title. I do agree with that. Personally, this was the year of Sean Strickland, plain and simple. I think if you pick Islam Makhachev for the award, I would also agree. 2 title defenses with a Fight of the Year contender and a Knockout of the Year contender, that sounds pretty good to me. I also like Alex Pereira for this award because he became the first fighter ever to become a middleweight champion and a light heavyweight champion. But the knockout loss to Adesanya kind of taints his record here. He had a great comeback to the latter half of 2023 though. Tom Aspinall also had an incredible year. He looks literally unstoppable in this current heavyweight division. If I'm John Jones, I'm making sure I'm preparing extremely hard for Tom Aspinall if they do ever fight. But that is the first edition of Beyond the Cage's MMA Awards. Lots of great fights are to come next year with hopefully amazing knockouts and beautiful submissions. If you guys did enjoy this video, please do leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with anyone who might be interested. Also hit that notification bell so you never miss another Beyond the Cage episode. I'm Gabe Benchimol, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.